Welcome to Vintage Overlanding. Today we are going to rekey the locks for a Scout 800, including the T-handle to go on the lift gate. This is for our Scout in Alaska. We head back up to Alaska in about a week to get that baby out of storage and make our second attempt to get it to Virginia, driving it from Alaska to Virginia. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure and do that so you don't miss out on the trip. And well, let's get started. We need locks. Today's project is going to be about how to rekey the locks on your Scout 800 so that they will all work off of the same key, or at least that's the goal. I'm down in Florida this week, house sitting for a friend, and I know a lot of people when they come to Florida, they bring, surfboards and other things. I bring Scout projects. So what we're going to do today is, my goal is to make the lock in this T-handle that goes on the back hatch. I have 2 door locks for a Scout 800 and a tailgate lock. You may or may not have one of these. They're a little less common, little gears on the back. And we're going to take these and try to rekey them all to the same key. Before we can do that, we have to disassemble them. We've got to get into the inner workings so that we can see the little keys that stick up, which allow it to turn or not turn, depending on whether you've got the right key. So I'll say up front that I'm not a mechanic, and I'm certainly not a locksmith, but doing a little looking online, checking out lots of the forums and things, and then just digging in and trying it. It seems like it's something that I can make happen today. So stick with me, enjoy, and with luck, we'll get this together. So now, let's disassemble. So the first lock we'll start with is the lock for the tailgate. They all kind of work in the same way, they just look a little different. The key to getting the cylinder out of the lock is to get a little tab lifted, and the little tab is right here. So looking on the back, you'll see that there is one large knob on this side, one lobe on this side, and a smaller lobe in the center. The small one is the one we're going to work with because that's the one that has the little spring-loaded latch that holds the cylinder in. So if you look closely, there you go, you'll see inside of this hole, that hole right there, you'll see this little thing moving, and there's 2 parts. And when I move it one way, they kind of open up and give you a little gap between them. You're trying to lift up on the front part, okay? So you get between those and you'll hear that little click. That's like a little spring-loaded piece of metal that falls into a groove and holds it in. So right there it is up. I use this pick, this angled pick. A safety pin has worked for me too. Maybe a little larger one. This one would be better. That one bends kind of easily. But so just putting it in, lifting up, and while doing so, I'm going to push in on the back, and then you'll see the front slides out. Okay, and there the cylinder comes out. Okay. Also inside the cylinder is the little geared part. It was sticking out the back here, and so you can see it has a little notch in it there, and this little guy has like a little peg sticking up, and the 2 of them fit together quite nicely when it's in the right orientation. So like that. That's why we're going to put it back in when we're done. Okay. So that one's the easy one. I've taken it apart. This is the one I kind of started with. Now let's get to the others I haven't messed with yet. So now let's take a look at the door lock. The door lock, the base part of it here is very similar. 2 lobes, small lobe, and that's where our little clip is that's going to hold it in. Okay, this is the the shaft comes back, goes into a space inside the door. And when you turn the key, it turns the shaft, which unlocks the door. My dog would like to come inside. So let's see if we can slide this one out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this against the table so I can press down slightly and see if I can get the clip to let go. So again, if you move this back and forth pushing in, you can get that little gap to open. Get your pick in there. Roll it up and then push down, and voila, out comes the cylinder. Ta-da! And then again, these are the 3 parts, and you'll see there's the little guy that snaps in. All right, same thing. This one's nice and clean. Hopefully they'll all be that way. We'll see. Okay, so now for the second lock, the second door lock. Again, we're looking for that little area to lift up. Come on, baby. Again, I'll move this thing back and forth a little, find a little opening there. We go. I lift up on it and then push the cylinder. I've lost it. Let's see if I can. This little pick works a little better sometimes. Okay. Oop. Okay, there. You can see I've got it up. Push out. Okay, this should be out of the groove. I believe that it connects in this groove here. So if I've moved it forward that far, it should be, sorry about that, hit the camera. It should be out of the groove. So now what's happening in all likelihood is the keys, the little spring-loaded keys here, are hooking behind this. And so in my first attempt, I'd made myself a little shim using a clamp and just cut a piece. So we're gonna see if we can't get those pushed down. Not there. Let's try my safety pin. Maybe from this direction I might be able to get them. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong hole. This is the small lobe. This is the large lobe. So the keys are actually in this part. Oh yeah, and if you look closely, you can actually see them right there, and you can see it's getting hung behind that lip. So I'm gonna push down on the table and try to push that key in. There we go. Yep, got one. Take my time and try to get them to slide down. There's another one. Yep. So it's just time consuming. We'll do a little fast forward montage here. Ta-da. All right, so that's a crimped style. I'll show you that in a minute. This is much dirtier. Also, the shaft is not wanting to push through as easily. So at the end, I wasn't pushing down as much as I was lifting up on the cylinder. Ugh. Very cruddy. Oh, and it looks to me, you guys might or might not be able to see it, but the little clip that holds the cylinder in is actually stuck in this little hole right here. So it won't go. So I've got to pull it back down, turn it, and then push it up. There we go. Ah, ta-da. All right. Don't force it, but it might take a little time, especially depending on how cruddy and dirty your lock is. This one's had a lot of goop in it. Quit wiggling. So now what I'm going to do is spend a little time cleaning this one up. It's just way too much crud in there. Plus you can see that the keys don't quite line up. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's like sand and crud inside the lock. So take a little WD-40 and really go spray it out good. Brake cleaner would probably work. Just something to force that gunk out of there. So. Now for the T-handle. This T-handle wasn't made to come apart. You can kind of see here, get a good light on it, that this area has been crimped over by a machine. These pinches on this side, little pinches on that side. Everyone I've seen online, T-handles where people do this, there's always some screw here. They loosen it and they take this thing off and then the cylinder comes out. I'm really hoping that's what happens here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Dremel with a little cutting blade and I'm going to grind those knobs off that were machine pressed in there. And then I'm going to replace that with one of these E-keys and snap it on there. That's the goal. So I'll cut a little groove around afterwards and clip that clip on there, which should hold this in place. It's clearly spring-loaded. I can push down on it, but it was never made to come apart. So we're going to correct that or break it, one or the other. Okay, I think it's going to work, but I do have to get just a little bit more off in a couple of spots. Ta-da! All right, so there's that. A little scratching, but minimal damage there. Spring. A ring of some sort. And a larger ring. Went on curved side in. And then something else. Looks like a retainer of some sort. Oop, and then this, which has a slot up here to hold that in place. And then you have this key in here that this thing doesn't appear to want to come over. If you can see that there, but right in there, there's a little key. Doesn't appear to be loose. Well. Well, I've run across a problem here I don't know that I'm going to be able to fix. So you can see here where I ground it and got that through. That's going to work just fine. I'm pretty sure the clip, and I'm going to go ahead and put it back together so I don't lose my space or lose my place, you know, where things go in my head. The problem is right inside of there, you can see there's this little tab sticks out, and it apparently goes through the shaft. I can get it to wiggle, but I can't seem to get it to pull out, push out, peck out. You know, it goes up and down, but it will not, it just will not release. You know, you can see it on both sides. On the other side, it comes through, but not by much. But on this side, it's large and won't let this slide off, though that's not a huge deal because there's nothing really behind it to do. So I'm kind of at a loss at how it goes together. I see these, there's some small circular spots right in here, and they're on the other sides like it's been pressed together. And so it may not come apart. For now, I'm gonna put this aside and try to figure it out. But before I do that, I'm gonna put it all back together just so I don't lose the parts, so I don't lose their order and orientation. So the thing is that I've seen several Scouts that have locks on the tailgate and do not have locks on the lift gate. And I couldn't figure out why, because you can lift the lift gate open with the tailgate in place. It doesn't go behind it. There's not some gasket to stop it or anything. It just lifts. And so like mine in Alaska has a lock on the tailgate, but no lock on the top. This came off of a different Scout. This came off of a red carpet edition series Scout that I found in Bush, Alaska. It's 30 miles as the crow flies from where I lived in Bethel, but by boat, it was about a 2.5 hour boat ride. So anyway, we went out there and took a bunch of parts off because I need them, and it was, I talked to the elder fella who owned it, and he let me have it. Said I could have it. It is basically sunk in the tundra. I'll insert a photo here. There wasn't anything great, but I did get a few things, got the transmission out of it. I'll be the only guy, you know, that travels across country with a spare transmission sitting in the back of his Scout. Probably not the only guy. If you have a Scout, you might have done it. But that'll be the, you know, instead of a spare tire, I'm carrying a spare transmission and transfer case. I grabbed a few other things, but there wasn't much left of it. But one thing I did get was this, because it had a lock, and I thought, well, I'll have a lock top and bottom. The best I can tell is that if you don't have a lock on your top, but you do on your tailgate, and you have a spare tire carrier, you can't open the top if you have your spare tire carrier locked. And maybe that was the reason. I don't know exactly why. Maybe somebody in the comments will know. Check them out, and if you know, let me know. So I was hoping to have locks on everything, but this is slowing me down. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm gonna put this back together. it is. I got it drilled out. Let me show you up close here what we have. Oh. So you can see there all the bits and pieces that came out of it as I drilled it. Hopefully you can. There's a little spring there. Little pieces of the keyway. I drilled through those. Right down through, and when I did, what I did is then I took a punch, and on the inside lip, I set this in here and I banged in and banged in and banged in until I could get the cylinder to spin. And when I did, I could spin it around, and then the notch, the whatever was holding it, I think came out of that little notch right there and just pulled out. So lots happened off camera right there. My wife called and said, come help me clip the dog's toenails, which, so that caused me to have a wardrobe change because the hair. Anyway, clipped and done. So I'm back now, and also, tip 37. When you are drilling this out, okay, and you've cleaned out the inside really nice and you got no more pieces, you've banged away on the thing and all the little chunks have come out. And then you take your cylinder and you test fit it, you know, for your YouTube channel just to make sure it's going to work. Make sure you use the cylinder that you have a key for, because when you test fit it, it's not going to come back out. Lucky for me, I'm sitting here with, well, what was 5 cylinders, and I put my hand down and happened to pick the one cylinder that the key went into, and I think it's because it has that black paint on it right there. And I thought, I don't know. Well, anyway, so I was going to show you in the hole. I will tell you this, you probably wouldn't have been able to see anything anyway. I cleaned it out real good, knocked stuff out, knocked all the pieces out, and it did kind of look like there was a little clip way down in the bottom, but I couldn't really see it. But sure enough, when I put the new cylinder in to just see if it was going to slide in, oh, it slid in good. And it, yeah, so it's in there. Oh, well. So it's in. It works. And if you look really close, you'll see what's happening is this little bar here is moving from one side to the other. And if I hadn't have been an idiot and cut these things and removed these things, this thing would still be down here. And that little tab would go in there. I think you can see that maybe. And so it locks it in there. So now I have to get these back on here. And so, which I think is going to be okay. I had a little plan with the little black clip that holds it, and I think that's all right. But what I believe I'm going to do is get it all down there, get the spring compressed to where it needs to be, maybe even put that little clip on. But then I'm going to go with a welder and do a little tack weld on both sides, which should hold it into place forever, is the plan. But it does work. It probably could use some lithium grease or something on the inside, or some graphite in there. It's good, but it doesn't 100% want to let go of the key every time real well, but it'll be good for me. So I've got this one now done. Yeah. I've got this one done, and this one's still to do, but let's see what I can do there. Well, looks like that's going to work. Still pretty warm. Not scalding, but so you can see here. I just went around it and made a couple of weld little nodules that'll keep it from sliding off, which is all they had. They had those little places in the bar pinched to make high spots, so this would not slide. This is still loose. That right there is still spring loaded and loose. And then you get it lined up and lock it. Ta-da. Pull the key out. And it's locked. Ta-da. Okay, so crisis averted with the cylinder. That one worked. Crisis averted with the stupidity to cut that off. Fix that. So now one down. Now, to the easy part will be making these cylinders work with this key. And so all we're going to do is insert the key. You see that this would be locked. But with the key, all of those should be even. And you can see there's a couple high ones and one high one on the bottom. Now, if you were doing this with a GM product, I think the GM products, you can take the pins out. And I still see no way to take them out on these international cylinders. So all we're gonna do, we're gonna put this in. We're gonna take the 3 that work best, because I have 4 now, because I took them out of another Scout that I bought. And so I need driver's door, passenger door, tailgate. And I have THandle done. So get those done. I've got some clips. This is how you put them back in when you're done. So let's get to doing that. Gotta find my Dremel. Okay, so you can still see when the pins are, when the key is out of it, the pins go back up. They should lock the cylinder in place. And when the key is in it, I've got them smoothed off. I'll probably take my file here and just go around a little bit just to make sure that all the burrs. Okay. So then this will then go back into a lock. So I'll take the shaft and put it back in and insert the cylinder in. Heard a little click. It spins. And when I pull the key out, it doesn't spin anymore. If I pull back on this thing, it does, but that's just because it's releasing from the bottom of the cylinder. As it should. Okay. So I just gotta do that 2 more times. Getting the cylinders out is a whole lot easier when you actually have a key that fits. It doesn't work in the THandle, but in these, you put the key in all the way, and if you turn it really hard to one end and pull, the cylinder just comes out. It lines it up with the gap right here, and it releases. But that only works if you have a key. I don't have a key, or I didn't have a key. I only had a key to this one cylinder here. Alrighty, folks, I got 4 working locks. That's right, 2 doors, 1 tailgate, and a THandle, and they all work off of that key right there. So what I'm going to do is I'll have 2 keys, you know, that works out just fine. but at least I can lock the Scout up now as I come across country. Speaking of coming across country, we are headed back to Alaska in 9 days. So be sure and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of those videos. And thank you very much for following along with us. It means a lot to us, and hopefully we'll put out some good content for you this summer. So take care, Scout on, see you on the road.